Chapter 1. The fog descends. In the forgotten outskirts of what was once a bustling town, the remnants of humanity huddle, whispering old tales to stave off the chilling silence that has consumed the world. The air is thick with a dense, rolling fog, its tendrils creeping silently over the crumbled walls and shattered pavements like a living entity. Amidst this ghostly haze, Jenna, a former radio operator known for her unwavering resolve, leads a small band of survivors. They've become known as the Signal Seekers, individuals bound not by blood, but by the sheer will to outlast the otherworldly terror that has claimed Earth. Tonight, the fog is unusually aggressive, swirling rapidly as if agitated by an unseen provocation. Jenna's eyes scan the horizon, catching the first glimpse of pulsating lights, unnatural, vibrant, and dreadfully familiar. "Run!" she barks, her voice barely cutting through the oppressive atmosphere. The group breaks into a desperate sprint, their breaths ragged echoes in the cold air. As they run, the ground beneath their feet trembles subtly, a grim reminder of the alien craft lurking beyond their sight, orchestrating the fog's movements. Shadows flit through the mist, forms both human and not, their silhouettes distorted and elongated in the flickering light. A sudden screech pierces the night, a sound no human throat could produce. It's followed by a bright beam of light slicing through the fog, sweeping the broken road like a searchlight. Jenna feels her heart pounding against her ribs, adrenaline surging as she urges her group toward the relative safety of an abandoned supermarket, a fortress of empty shelves and scattered memories of a world now lost. Inside, they press their backs against cold metal shelving units, gasping for breath, eyes wide with fear as the light probes the store's foggy windows. Jenna peers through a crack in the boarded-up entrance, watching the eerie glow retreat. The screeching dissipates, and the fog resumes its slow, menacing dance. "This was too close," she whispers to herself, turning to face her companions. Their faces, lit by the dim safety of a single flashlight, are etched with lines of exhaustion and terror. It's clear they can't keep running forever. "We need to find out what's controlling this fog and how to stop it," Jenna declares with a resolve that surprises even her. The group nods in silent agreement, their determination renewed despite the overwhelming odds. As the initial chaos settles, Jenna revisits the idea that has been gnawing at her since the first day the fog appeared. That somewhere, out there in the void, there might be an answer, a solution to their nightmare. And she knows, with a clarity that frightens her, that the answer lies within the heart of the fog itself. Chapter 2. Signals through the static. The supermarket, once a place of mundane routine, now stands as a makeshift fortress against the encroaching darkness. The survivors have fortified the windows and doors with layers of debris and scrap metal, turning the building into a dimly lit haven against the horrors outside. Jenna sits hunched over a dusty old radio set, the glow from its dials casting eerie shadows across her focused face. The air is heavy with anticipation as the rest of the Signal Seekers gather around, their eyes fixed on Jenna's every movement. With a steady hand, she adjusts the frequency, the static crackling like a fire in the quiet. Suddenly, a faint signal pierces through the noise, a series of irregular beeps followed by a garbled voice. The group leans in, holding their breath as Jenna fine-tunes the dial. The voice becomes clearer, desperate, and urgent. "If anyone can hear this, please respond. We are trapped in the research facility at Grid 5. The fog, it's changing, it's learning." The transmission cuts off with a chilling finality, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. The implications of the message send a cold shiver down Jenna's spine. Not only are there other survivors, but the fog itself might be more than just a passive threat. "We need to find this facility," Jenna declares, her voice a mix of fear and determination. If they've been studying the fog, they might have found something, anything, that could help us fight back. The decision is met with nods of agreement, albeit mixed with apprehensive glances. The journey to Grid 5 would be perilous, fraught with unknown dangers, both human and alien. Yet, the chance to grasp at a sliver of hope proves too potent a call to ignore. As they prepare for their expedition, Jenna goes over the map with Aaron, the group's navigator. The facility is located deep within what was once a bustling tech district, now a shadowy maze filled with alien patrols and unpredictable fog banks. They set out at dawn, the sky a dull grey, the sun a mere suggestion behind the smothering clouds. The city is hauntingly silent as they move, the familiar streets twisted into alien landscapes by the destruction and the ever-present fog. Their progress is slow, hindered by debris and the constant threat of alien drones that occasionally sweep the area with their probing lights. Every shadow, every sound causes them to freeze, hearts pounding, weapons at the ready. As they near the coordinates of the research facility, the fog thickens, swirling around them with almost sentient intent. Jenna feels a prickling sense of dread as the air grows colder, the fog weaving between them like probing fingers. Suddenly, a shadow detaches from the fog, taking on a form too grotesque to be human. The group recoils, raising their weapons as the creature, a twisted amalgamation of alien biology and human despair, lunges forward. The confrontation is brief but brutal, a stark reminder of what the fog can hide within its depths. Breathless and shaken, they finally reach the gates of the research facility, the building looming ominously through the fog. The door hangs ajar, a silent invitation to uncover the secrets held within. Jenna takes a deep breath, steels her nerves, and steps into the unknown, the faint echo of the desperate transmission replaying in her mind. This could be their only chance to turn the tide against the alien fog. Chapter 3. Shadows of the past. The dimly lit corridors of the research facility are lined with abandoned equipment and scattered papers, a testament to a sudden and chaotic evacuation. The air is stale, heavy with the scent of decay and chemical residue. Jenna leads the group, her flashlight cutting through the darkness, revealing glimpses of the facility's former life. As they delve deeper, the facility seems to groan under the weight of its secrets. The walls are adorned with hastily scribbled notes and complex diagrams that speak of desperate scientific endeavors. Jenna pauses before a large whiteboard, its surface cluttered with formulas, and a central, bold statement that sends a chill down her spine. The fog is sentient. Aaron, keeping a nervous watch at the door, turns back to Jenna. What does that mean? He whispers, his voice tinged with fear. It means, Jenna starts, her mind racing, that the fog isn't just a barrier or a weapon, it's alive. It thinks, or at least, it processes information like a living thing. Their discovery is interrupted by a soft thump from the upper floor. Tension grips the group as they silently agree to investigate. The upper levels are worse off, rooms torn apart, glass shattered, and dark stains marking the floors. Each step feels like a descent into a darker story, one of horror and loss. They find the source of the noise in what appears to have been a laboratory. Inside, rows of computers blink back to life as Jenna flips the power switch. Screens light up, showing logs and data on the fog. The most recent entries are frantic, a scientist's ramblings about a breakthrough in communication with the fog. Jenna scrolls through the logs, piecing together the narrative. The researchers had discovered that the fog could respond to certain frequencies, effectively learning from them. It was a discovery that had offered incredible potential until something went horribly wrong. As they absorb the implications, a chilling realization dawns on them. The facility hadn't been merely studying the fog, they had been trying to control it. Suddenly the screens flicker and a message appears, typed out slowly, as if someone or something is typing in real time. "Why are you here?" it reads. The room turns ice cold as they stare at the words, a new level of terror taking hold. Jenna steps forward, her hands trembling as she types a response. "We seek to understand the fog, to find a way to coexist or to stop it." The cursor blinks ominously before the reply comes. Too late to coexist. Too late to stop. The screens go black, and the facility shakes violently as if responding to the conversation. A deep rumbling fills the air, and through the windows, they see the fog thicken and surge like a living thing enraged. They need to leave, now. Rushing back to the ground floor, they barely escape as the building begins to collapse behind them, the fog swallowing it whole. Outside, the air is charged, the fog swirling aggressively around them as if aware of their newfound knowledge. "We need a new plan," Jenna says, her resolve hardening. "This changes everything." To Chapter 4, Breach in the Mist, with the fallen research facility, a smouldering ruin behind them, the survivors press on, guided by Jenna's unyielding determination. The fog seems to pulsate with a life of its own, rolling in waves that feel almost spiteful. Every step forward is a battle against both the physical and psychological onslaught of the fog. Back at the supermarket, their temporary safe haven, the group gathers around an old, battered table strewn with maps and the scattered notes they managed to salvage from the facility. The mood is tense. The air is thick with the metallic scent of rain that never falls. Jenna stands at the head of the table, her eyes scanning the information, looking for anything they might use to their advantage. "We know the fog responds to frequencies," Jenna begins, her voice steady despite the flicker of fear in her eyes. "What if we could find a way to disrupt those frequencies? Break the communication, or even control it?" Kevin, a quiet survivor with an expertise in electronics, chimes in. "We might be able to rig something up. I can try to modify the old radio transmitter, turn it into a kind of frequency jammer. The plan is risky, and they all know it. The fog's intelligence isn't just a random menace, it's adaptive, possibly even predictive. But the glimmer of hope that they might be able to influence or control the fog galvanizes the group into action. As Kevin works on the transmitter, Jenna and a few others venture out once more to test their theory. They choose a nearby location where the fog is less dense, a testing ground for their desperate experiment. With the makeshift device humming to life, Jenna watches intently as the fog begins to react. At first, it's subtle, a slight hesitation in its movements, as if confused or disrupted. Encouraged, Kevin adjusts the settings, increasing the power. Suddenly, the fog recoils violently, swirling back as if in pain. The air clears momentarily, giving them a precious few minutes of clarity and a view of the sky they hadn't seen in months. Cheers break out among the group, their first real victory tangible in the bright patch of blue above them. But their celebration is cut short. The fog returns, denser and more aggressive than before. It seems their actions have provoked it, and now it's learning, adapting to their interference. They retreat back to the supermarket, the fog nipping at their heels. Inside, they barricade the doors and huddle together, listening to the howl of the wind and the unnatural whispers of the fog pressing against the walls. "We made it angry," Jenna admits, her face pale in the dim light. "But we also proved that it can be affected. We need to refine the device, make it stronger. It's our only chance." The group nods, their faces set with grim determination. They have seen that the fog can be challenged, and now they cling to the hope that it can be overcome. The path forward is fraught with danger, but Jenna's leadership and their collective resolve light a small fire of hope in the darkness. As they prepare for the next confrontation, they know the stakes have never been higher. The fog is learning, and so must they. The battle for survival has evolved into a battle of wits and will against an unseen enemy that blankets the very air they breathe. Chapter 5. Frequencies of Fear. In the dim, flickering light of the supermarket, Kevin works tirelessly on the frequency jammer, his hands steady despite the clear fatigue that marks his face. The group surrounds him, their expressions a mixture of hope and apprehension as they await the next phase of their plan. Jenna oversees the work, her mind racing with contingencies and strategies. "We need to be smarter about this," Jenna states, her gaze fixed on the maps and diagrams spread out before them. "The fog adapts quickly. We hit it hard and fast, then move before it can regroup. The plan is set. They will deploy the frequency jammer at multiple points around the town, creating gaps in the fog through which they can maneuver and perhaps even find a way to permanently disable it. The stakes are high, but the group is determined to reclaim their world or die trying." As dusk approaches, they split into teams, each equipped with a part of the modified transmitter. Jenna leads the main group, her resolve like a beacon in the encroaching darkness. They move stealthily through the deserted streets, the silence punctuated only by the distant, eerie pulsations of the fog. At the first location, an old radio tower, Kevin sets up the device. The air is tense as he flips the switch. For a moment, nothing happens, and then abruptly, the fog stirs violently, retreating from the tower like a tide going out. A cheer erupts from the group, quickly stifled as they move on to the next point. Each successful activation of the device clears the fog temporarily, but with each use, its return is swifter, more aggressive. It's a race against time and an unseen enemy that learns from each encounter. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a smaller team faces a setback. The fog, dense and almost palpable, ambushes them, flowing over their equipment and short-circuiting their device before they can activate it. Panic ensues as they retreat, the fog chasing them like a predator with its prey. Back with Jenna's team, the gravity of their friend's failure hits hard. "We need a new approach," Jenna says, her voice barely above a whisper, as they regroup in the shadow of an abandoned church. "This isn't just about scattering the fog anymore. We need to understand it, communicate with it, maybe even control it." The team returns to the supermarket, weary but not defeated. They gather around the surviving equipment, brainstorming under the relentless hum of the jammer. A radical idea forms among them, sparked by the desperation and the uncanny nature of their foe. "What if we don't just disrupt the fog, but actually send a message through it?" suggests Lily, a linguist who had been quiet until now. "If the fog can learn, maybe it can understand, maybe it can be reasoned with." The idea is met with mixed reactions, but Jenna sees the potential. "It's a long shot," she concedes, "but we're out of options. Let's prepare a message, something it can't ignore." As night falls, they craft their message. A simple plea for coexistence, or at least for understanding. They transmit it through the frequency jammer, turning the device from a weapon into a bridge. The response is immediate and startling. The fog halts its advance, pulsing rhythmically as if digesting the words. The air around them is charged, waiting as if the entire world holds its breath. Chapter 6. A dialogue with the void. Under the pale light of the moon, which fights to pierce the ever-present cloud of fog, the survivors wait anxiously for any sign of a response. The tension is palpable. Every moment stretches on as they gaze towards the dense mist that surrounds their makeshift command center in the supermarket. Minutes pass like hours until finally the fog begins to shift. It moves not with the random, swirling chaos of before, but in deliberate, pulsating waves. The frequency jammer continues to hum, now a beacon of tentative communication rather than a weapon. Jenna watches intently, her mind racing with possibilities. "It's reacting to our message," she murmurs, more to herself than to anyone else. The group crowds around the makeshift transmitter, observing the phenomenon. Kevin adjusts the equipment, enhancing the output to maintain the connection. "It's like it's listening," he says, awe mingling with fear in his voice. The fog condenses into denser, more structured forms before them, almost as if it's attempting to manifest physically. Then, just as suddenly, it retreats slightly, and through the jammer, a series of low, modulated tones emerge. A voice, alien yet unmistakably deliberate. Lily, with her expertise in linguistics, listens closely, attempting to decode the patterns. "It's communicating," she confirms excitedly. It's primitive, but there's intention behind it. The night wears on as they engage in this unprecedented exchange. The fog's voice becomes clearer. Its messages still cryptic, but increasingly coherent. It speaks of its creation, a byproduct of alien technology that grew beyond its intended purpose. It reveals a consciousness formed from the very atmosphere it inhabits, now intertwined with the fate of the planet. The survivors piece together a chilling picture. The fog was never just a weapon or a barrier. It was an experiment that spiraled out of control, gaining sentience and now seeking its own place in the world. Armed with this new understanding, Jenna proposes a bold plan. If the fog was created, maybe it can be recreated or even reformed. We need to find the source, the original technology that spawned it. The plan is met with a mix of skepticism and hope, but the dialogue with the fog offers them a unique advantage. They negotiate a truce of sorts, the fog agreeing to remain passive as they search for the alien technology, a testament to the power of communication over conflict. As dawn breaks, the group sets out, guided by the fog which now clears a path for them, its eerie lights flickering like guides through the desolate urban landscape. The city is a labyrinth of ruins, but the fog's guidance is unerring. Their destination is the remnants of a vast alien structure, half buried and forgotten in the outskirts of the city. The architecture is foreign, imposing, yet unmistakably the source of the fog. Inside, they find technology beyond human understanding, but Kevin and Jenna, through trial and error, begin to discern its purpose and workings. As they work, the fog watches, its presence looming but not threatening. The survivors feel the weight of their task, not just to save humanity, but to right a wrong that has altered the Earth forever. Chapter 7: Heart of the Mist. The interior of the alien structure is a labyrinth of cold, metallic surfaces and incomprehensible controls that shimmer with a strange, ethereal light. Jenna and Kevin, with cautious steps, navigate the alien corridors, their every move watched by the sentient fog that hovers at the boundary, its presence both menacing and protective. As they delve deeper into the heart of the structure, the air thrums with power, the palpable energy of a technology far beyond human reach. They encounter chambers filled with pulsating lights and columns of data streaming in a language of light and sound, the archives of an alien civilization. The central chamber houses the core of the fog's creation, a towering construct of swirling energy and intricate machinery, clearly the nerve center of the fog's operations. Here, the fog grows denser, almost reflective, mirroring their mixed emotions of awe and fear. Kevin, with a careful hand, interfaces with the alien console, using makeshift tools and the guidance gleaned from their communications with the fog. The task is Herculean, each adjustment fraught with risk, but driven by a desperation to reclaim their world, or at least coexist with this new entity. Meanwhile, Jenna documents the process, recording their findings and the sequences that seem to resonate with the fog, which reacts to their manipulations with a fluctuating intensity. The fog's behavior suggests it is not just a passive observer, but an active participant, curious about their intentions and perhaps even its own existence. As Kevin deciphers part of the alien technology, a breakthrough occurs. The machinery hums to life, the energy at the core fluctuating between hues of deep blue and vibrant red. They manage to isolate the sequence that might allow them to reshape or even dissipate the fog. The moment of truth arrives. Kevin inputs the sequence, and the core emits a powerful surge of light that pierces the fog, casting brilliant rays through the structure. The fog recoils, then stabilizes, its form shimmering as if undergoing a profound transformation. Outside, the world holds its breath. The fog, once a suffocating blanket over the earth, begins to thin, revealing the long-forgotten colors of the dawn sky. However, it does not disappear entirely. Instead, it retreats to the edges of the horizon, less oppressive but still present, a reminder of the delicate balance they've achieved. The survivors emerge from the alien structure to a world irrevocably changed. They've not only averted total annihilation, but have fostered a tentative peace with a sentient, once hostile phenomenon. The fog lingers, no longer a threat, but a guardian of sorts, maintaining a watchful peace as humanity begins to rebuild. As they stand amid the ruins, looking up at the clearing sky, Jenna feels a mix of relief and responsibility. They have shaped a new world, one where human resilience and an unexpected alliance have rewritten their fate. Chapter 8: A New Dawn. As the first true dawn in years casts its golden light over the city, the survivors stand amidst the remnants of a world they once knew, forever altered by the events that unfolded. The sentient fog, now a distant curtain at the horizon, no longer a threat but a part of the world's new tapestry, symbolizes the strange peace they've brokered. Jenna watches the sunrise, the colors vivid against the clearing skies, a stark contrast to the grey that had blanketed the earth for so long. Around her, the others begin the work of rebuilding, their spirits lifted by the sight of the sun, their resolve strengthened by their victory and the compromise they've achieved. The alien structure, still ominous but now silent, stands as a monument to their ordeal and a beacon of the knowledge they've gained. Kevin and a few others continue to study the technology, determined to unlock more secrets that could benefit their new world. They work alongside the fog, which communicates through subtle shifts and pulses, a dialogue that is both eerie and exhilarating. Jenna reflects on the journey they've endured, the fear, the losses, the triumphs. She records everything. Her notes a mix of personal reflections and scientific observations. These records, she hopes, will serve as a guide for future generations, a chronicle of their struggle and eventual harmony with an entity beyond their understanding. As the community rebuilds, new roles are forged. Jenna becomes a leader, not just of survival, but of integration, advocating for a balance between human advancement and respect for the sentient fog that now shares their world. The fog, for its part, seems to adapt to its new role, its presence at the outskirts of human settlements a constant reminder of the fragile peace they must maintain. One evening, gathered around a newly kindled fire, the survivors share stories of the past and plans for the future. The air is filled with laughter and the crackling of the fire, a sound long missed. Children play in the background, their games free from the shadows that had once chased them. Jenna looks around at the faces illuminated by the firelight, each one marked by the journey, but also by hope. "We've been given a second chance," she says, her voice steady and clear. "Let's not waste it. Let's live not just in peace, but in gratitude for every sunrise, every breath." The group nods, their agreement silent but profound. As the fire burns down to embers, the stars begin to appear, one by one, in the clearing sky. They are no longer obscured by the fog, but enhanced by it, the horizon glowing faintly with its presence. This is their new world, a place of coexistence and continual discovery, shaped by the resilience of those willing to fight, to understand, and ultimately to adapt.